For additional perspective on the life and legacy of Nelson Mandela, my colleague Anand Naidoo spoke with the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Jendayi Frazer. She began by sharing what she felt when she first heard that the anti-apartheid leader had passed away.
Well, I was stunned in some ways, even though it was expected. I was stunned because for such a towering figure in world history, to lose a person, you know, is of tremendous magnitude to the world. And so on the one hand, I felt happy that in many ways his soul is at peace. But on the other hand, as a person left behind as such, you know, the world, to lose such a magnificent man was, sad. It was very sad.
You know, he was a leader of South Africa. He shepherded the country to democracy, and he did it in such a gracious way when one considers where he came from.
Yes.
But he was also a politician, and some would say a very canny politician. What do you think that was so special about him?
Well, I think, first of all, he was strongly convicted. And so he had the courage of his convictions to carry him forward, even when it was the most difficult of times. And I think that he felt very passionately about politics. And so I think, that it came natural to him, I would say. And so I think that those two, the passion and the courage of his conviction, gave him the strength to be able to do what was necessary given the times. And when I say that, I mean from becoming a lawyer and trying to serve South Africans with legal aid to, at a point, deciding that the apartheid regime was too repressive and they needed to go to armed struggle. And then at the end, in 90s, forward, to actually say, put down your weapons. And so he changed tactics according to the time, but with the clear objective, which is a non-racial democratic South Africa.
In many respects, Nelson Mandela, when he came out of prison, when he became president, had to manage expectations in South Africa. First, we had the expectations of the black majority, and he had to tell them. And I suppose it was difficult for him to do that, but they had to swallow a very bitter pill, that political freedom might have come, but economic freedom is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take us a very, very long time.
It certainly is a person who has foresight. He recognized that he had to compromise, not compromise on his objectives and his conviction, but compromise in terms of the management of the society at that time. And so he reassured the white South Africans. He did not fire anybody. He took it slow on the economic front. But I do still think that the task of economic liberation, economic freedom, remains in front of South Africa as well as Africa as a whole. There's political freedom, and in many ways South Africa was the last country to get its political freedom in the 90s. But now there's the economic freedom, and that's the challenge of this new age. That's the challenge of this new generation. And that's why I'm hoping that we will see people like Nelson Mandela, whether they're inventors or engineers or great business leaders, that will be able to deliver on that next stage of economic freedom.
Right, as you say, it's a big challenge for South Africa, but it would also mean that the new generation of leaders in South Africa would have to fully embrace the legacy that he left, that ideology that he left. Yeah,
especially integrity. I think more than anything, and service to the people, to the society, and integrity in their interactions. They can't put themselves before the people of South Africa. And I think that there's this sense that I'm going to get mine now. Among many who were denied for so very long. But Nelson Mandela, in his 27 years of service in prison and then continuing as president, says, actually, it's not getting mine now. It's what do you build for the next generation? That's a lasting legacy.